Hi, this is Tom, and I'm just doing a quick test here of some new software on recording the screen, actually using the Macintosh's built-in ability to record the screen. And now what I want to do is just a quick tutorial on how to clip out a photo, and by clipping out what I mean is removing the background from the photo so that you may use it in other programs. So the first thing I did was grab a picture. In this case I used LeBron James. And the second thing I'm going to do is use the pen tool. And just like anything else in Photoshop, there's lots of different ways to do any one task. So what I am going to do is use the pen tool because it is the superior way to cut out an image. Um, One thing I do want to do is turn off this resizing windows because this could get annoying if I am magnifying in, because of what I'm doing is recording just a portion of the screen, so hopefully when you're viewing this it isn't so my whole screen isn't showing, so that you don't have to watch this full screen. You could watch it in a window and still get out of it what you need to. And this image isn't the most high-res image, it's just something I grabbed off the internet real quick. So zooming in 300%, I really don't want to go in any further than that because all you're looking at is a pixelated mess. And I myself, I always clip out things in a counterclockwise fashion. It's just my OCD and how I'm used to doing it. But anyways, let's hop into it. So I'm going to select my pen tool, P on your quick keys if you want to learn those. And then I'm going to open up my paths palette, and how you get to that is go under Window, Paths, like so. And I'm just going to start drawing away with my path. So as you can see, I'm clicking and holding, and I'm just going to set my curves, and I'm just going to very quickly go around this photo. I could cover more of the nuances of the pen tool, but as you're clipping out this, you try to keep a reasonable amount of paths. You don't want to have 20 billion points. You want to let the pen tool work for you and create the angles. And what I'm doing here is I held the option button as I grabbed that anchor, so then I can move it down. Because actually when you clip out something, you want to come in a pixel or so of whatever it is that you're clipping out, because if you go right along the exact edge of it, if I zoom in here, if I were to say go directly around them, you can see these pixels right here. They're going to end up showing in the clipped out image, and then there's going to be a dark outline around the photo, which you do not want. So I'm going to zoom back out here to 300%, I think is what I feel is what's necessary to clip this out. And I'm just going to work my way around. And like I said, you don't want to have too many paths. And what you'll do is you'll just end up smoothing out a lot of the little wrinkles, depending on your time factor. You know, if you're clipping out some baseball player in a uniform, you could really just get rid of a lot of the wrinkles in the uniform and smooth them out, because you are going to be the only person that is going to know this. And as I'm clipping this out, I'm keeping my thumb right near the option key and the space bar. And what that does is I don't have to slow down clipping out. I'm just pressing the space bar and navigating around the image to get in view what I need to be clipping out. And then right here I came into a spot where I want to work the angle so that right there I'm holding option, and then I'm gonna see there I hit Command Z. But right now here's a problem that is hard to explain to somebody unless you have a specific example. So if I want to continue drawing on his wrist there, I will get back in here. I hit Command minus instead of plus. So what I want to do is continue going around his wrist, but you see I have a problem area there because it is taking the angle from the last path I drew, and once I click that next line, it is keeping the properties of the previous curve. So I'm going to hit Option here, and that's going to reset it to 0. So now I'm just able to continue drawing my path, and it's not taking into account the previous path's ending curve. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom, go across here, and like I said, I'm just following the photo, and I'm keeping a couple pixels in so you don't get an ugly outline around it on your finished clipped out image. So I'm just letting the curves work for me. And right when I finish this up, I'm going to show you, because we have a problem with this photo, and just like most photos you're going to clip out, where I'm around the entire image now. And what I'm going to do is I hold that Command key, and I'm just going to drag these anchor points down a little bit so I don't end up with that dark outline. And what it does when you start working on a clipping path, it creates a work path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that. So now the problem we have is, how do I get these? I need to knock this hole out of here to finish clipping the image. So I'm just going to keep working with this path still selected, and I'm going to come in here and draw a path around the inside of this, almost like the inside of a letter O, because the inside of the letter O wouldn't be sawed. There's like that hole cut out of it, sort of like a donut shape. And I'm just going to come around here and clip out that part of the image. And then I got to move over here to the other side and get his other arm cut out. And I'm just going to go around his little arm sleeve here. And just like in the other part, I thought I was going to have to reset that anchor point, but I actually didn't have to, following the curves of the uniform. And I'm just trying to keep as little points as necessary, because you don't want to go bare minimum, but the less points you have in a clip out, the better it's going to end up looking. And I'm getting around that little wristband here. I'm going to reset the anchor point here so I don't get a weird curve where I'm going around that rounded edge. And I'm just going to come back up around here. And I'm going to close that off. So there is the finished clip out. So now what we need to do is go over here in our tools, and you hit this little triangle options button, and you're going to choose clipping path. And I'm going to choose path 1, which is what I have. And if you're not very proficient at drawing a path around something, you can actually put in a number here in this flatness, and it will smooth out your path for you a little bit if you're not too good at drawing all the curves. So right now it is clipped out. But one of the most important things here is these options up here. And I'll just show you really quickly. I almost never have a use for any of these other options besides this last one, which says excludes overlapping path areas. So what that means is I drew a shape around the entire image, and then I drew holes inside. And what that means is these holes will be invisible once I would make a selection or pull it into another document. So right here I'm going to make my selection, and you can see here, I'll quickly go ahead in here and make the background color. We'll just make it red here for for instance, and I choose the background color. I want the foreground color. And I'm just going to fill that whole bottom layer. I ended up filling in my selection. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hold Option here, and I'm just going to make a copy so I don't harm my original image. So I'm going to go in here, and this dotted line allows you, excuse me, this dotted circle allows you to make the path a selection in your document. So I'm going to quickly inverse this selection, and I'm going to delete. So there is what you end up with. So now you can save him in a variety of different ways, but you see he is perfect selection now. So I'm going to delete that layer, make my layer that was underneath visible again. Excuse me, throat's dry. I'm going to make another copy of him. So now what I'm going to do is select my path, and now I'll show you if you would have these two boxes, which it says add path areas. What it's going to do is any paths that overlap, it's going to make it one continuous selection. So when I make that a selection now, you see that we lost the holes we spent cutting out for him. And a lot of people make this mistake. Someone might be at their computer and clicks that different option in the box. And if you ever pull this into another application and you're thinking, why are the holes that I clipped out not showing up? That would be why. So we're going to delete this layer. We're going to go back in, and we're going to select our path again, and we are going to choose the exclude option. So now we have our path, we have our image. I'm going to delete the background, and I will save that now as a EPS is one of the best ways you can save it, or you could save it as a TIFF, because once you save that path and make that path the clipping path, then when you pull it into another document, that is going to be where it goes. So I'm going to save this as James EPS, Photoshop EPS, and that's it. And what I'm going to do is quickly hop in here to QuarkXPress, or if you had InDesign, that is also a program you can use. But I'm just going to quickly create a new document here real fast, just to show you what the finished product looks like when you pull it into your document. So as soon as this creates it, I don't know why I'm getting the pinwheel. We will wait for it to work through its issues. But what I'm going to do is pull that image now into my desktop publishing program. So say if I was working on some sort of layout where I needed a color background. So I'm just going to make that pink magenta. So I'll draw my picture box. I will pull in my picture. We will go to our desktop because that is where I saved it. Due date modified to make it easy to find. Pull in James here. And for some reason, he's turning out as a gray box. So let me try saving him again. Maybe I had the wrong option set. Replace. Okay, I will go back in here to Quark. Double click on them to update. And there we go. And when you're working in a desktop publishing program, it usually pulls in as a low res, but you can just go in and preview it as a high res. So there he is. And then you can do cool stuff with him, like say you had a headline and you want to do one of those cool effects where he's over top the headline. You would first take the runaround off of his box. And you can do neat things like this, like do some sort of layout that has him overlapping text or whatever. Now you will not have that background in your photo. Well, that's the end of this test. Thank you, and I'll see